It's a Gundam!
Super Draco here, and welcome back to It's a Gunpla, the show whose name I did not think up very well. So, the dividing driver is probably GaoGaiGar's most iconic tool. Because one of GaoGaiGar's gimmicks is that all of his extra weapons and equipment are all tools. The dividing driver, a screwdriver, the Gatling gun, a Phillips head screwdriver, the dimension pliers, a pair of pliers, and then the Goldion hammer, a hammer. So, in essence, this is a tool more than a weapon, although he has used it offensively. Because in the show, what this thing does is it basically warps space and creates a battlefield for GaoGaiGar and the Zonder so that they don't have to, or so they don't destroy everything around it. But in the show, GaoGaiGar has also used this thing as an offensive weapon, literally splitting a Zonder's head wide open with it. He's also used it to create a distortion bubble around himself so he could sink deep into the ocean. So it's a versatile tool. So this model build, it's a simple build, but it's effective. And it also is light. And with anything of this nature that a model has to hold, you want it to be light enough that it doesn't stress the joints. A problem I wish that the Goldion hammer didn't have because of its oversized nature. Funnily enough, in a video game, King Jader was able to wield the Goldion hammer, but due to King Jader being enormous, it looked like a regular mallet in his hands, and then became a Silverion hammer, or Silvarion hammer. So, interestingly enough, those little pillars, or those little struts, those are actually metal pieces. The tip of the dividing driver is also metal. I'm not entirely certain why, but yeah. So, the little cap goes in, but what you do is you twist it to lock it in place, and then make sure the little supports are plugged in properly. Now, I have a problem that they keep getting stuck in the gray pieces. Eventually I fixed that, but still. But either way, it looks good, and it actually has I call it reciprocating action, or repeating action, whatever you want to call it. So this metal bit obviously just pegs into this piece. It's got a nice little notch cut out to grip right on there. And it was a clever idea to use metal for this because it adds weight to the driver, makes it visually more interesting, but also means they don't have to use near as many pieces. So if we come over to our labels over here, now I'm going to change tweezers, because as you can see, those tweezers I got from Eagle Moss back when I started Ecto 1 are getting kind of worn out. So this is going to be a long video, so I think we'll just fast forward the rest of these stickers. And just for perspective, that fast forwarded segment was 21 seconds long. It was over 2 minutes originally. So I am looking out for y'all, prioritizing your time, not making you watch the same stuff on repeat. Now there are places on this you could actually line the dividing driver. And it probably looked pretty sweet, but again, on most of these builds that I film, I'm usually going for an anime look. So I don't want all the details because I want it to be more in line with how the anime depicted it. And you don't see some of that detail super well in most shots of the dividing driver. I mean, there's actually a whole hilarious thing you can do if you pause anime and just look at background stuff or frames in between dramatic animations, and can see a lot of weird and funny stuff. So this little meter somehow represents the energy transferring from GaoGaiGar into the driver. I wish they had done a little more with it. Again, maybe a silverback sticker underneath to make it look like it's lit up or something. But it's serviceable. So dividing driver, the last piece goes on, and that's it. So next accessory, as we can see, this thing, it moves, it does whatever. So the next accessory will be the Hell and Heaven hands. So the Hell and Heaven attack combines the spiral energy from the broken arm and the straight energy from the protect arm. And by combining them together, by clasping his hands together, basically creates this chaotic energy around his hands that rips apart whatever he strikes. And GaoGaiGar uses that to tear apart Zonders so they can extract their core. So it's an extremely simple piece, it's just a handful of pieces, but it looks really nice, especially on GaoGaiGar. So let's jump ahead. Okay, before we get to Gaigar and all that, we're going to take Stealth Gao and Liner Gao, and we've got this little adapter piece, and that's going to allow Stealth Gao to carry Liner Gao, that thing it did in that one episode. It just pegs right into the top of Liner Gao, and there's 2 sockets in those little doors, and it pegs right in. And yay! It's something they did in the show, but I'd rather they used the parts for something else. Okay, and so we're going to bring in Guy Leon, and well, let's transform him into Gaigar. So, first thing you're going to do is lift up the whole pack, fold in the tip of his tail, fold in the rest of the tail, fold in the flaps. So then you're going to straighten out the legs. Now I think you're supposed to shorten them to make for Guy Leon, but it balanced out with them fully stretched out. And then you just open the feet up and there's Gaigar's legs. So for the torso, this is fairly interesting. You pull Guy Leon's head, and it's going to spin around 180 degrees. You've got this panel on the back you're going to fold down. And I'm just opening the arms up so I can just reach in there and help it out, because this mechanism, it works, but on mine it got kind of stuck. It got caught on Gaigar's weird hair. There we go. And so now just close the arms back up, rotate the waist 180 degrees, and here we have the fusion of Guy and Gaileon, GaoGaiGar. Now you're supposed to open the mouth up. I don't think it matters, and plus I kind of like leaving it open on GaoGaiGar and opening it for GaoGaiGar. So now we got him. Another gimmick we can do involves Stealth Gao and Drill Gao. So using those same two holes that Liner Gao was plugged into and those two pegs on his back, now we have Stealth GaoGaiGar. Yay! He actually did this a bunch in the show. So, since we're still playing with GaoGaiGar, let's show off his other gimmick with Drill Gao. So we take Drill Gao, split it in half. There's this little clip in the foot. And so what you're going to do is that little clip is going to grab onto GaoGaiGar's wrist. And this is another thing he did in the show. He wears Drill Gao as drilled boxing gloves, which is kind of awesome. And then he also can wear them in conjunction with Stealth Gao as a drill pack. Or as a flight pack. So basically, you've got 2/3 of GaoGaiGar and just no Liner Gao. And surprisingly, his arms can actually support the weight of Drill Gao. That's actually really impressive. Ignore the mess in the background. So yeah, hooray! It does that thing from the show, but unlike the Stealth Gao carry Liner Gao, this actually feels more thoughtful to me. Because it's using those two clips are honestly small pieces that, I mean, they could have just left them out and not even included the gimmick and nobody would have cared, I don't think. So, having done that, I guess it's time for final fusion. So first thing we're going to do is flip the waist out, open the flaps up, fold them flat, fold down GaoGaiGar's feet, and then we're going to collapse his ankles. So then we're going to bring in Drill Gao. So for this, obviously this piece that was clearly GaoGaiGar's foot opens up, and then you're going to take the drill and scoot the whole thing forward and then grab the tracks and pull it down and away from the body. Now you don't want to pull it all the way out, but just enough that you can reach that panel on the back. So what you're going to do is just drop GaoGaiGar down onto it. Now you see that panel's not open, and that's causing me a problem. Okay, so this is entirely user error on my part. The instructions actually clearly show you opening that panel inside up. And so there I've realized my issue. So yes, folks, I'm just kind of stupid. So GaoGaiGar's leg will drop inside there. Now we lost a piece and I'm not exactly sure where it goes to. Oh, that's the cover. So this is a problem that parts aren't wanting to sit very well. So I think I'm going to let it go and see if I get it fixed. If not, we'll just cut this whole segment out. Alright, and so with that reattached, we're going to try one more time. So once you get the leg dropped all the way in, you're going to close that panel down, and then you're going to slide the track up to fill in the back of the leg. Now, I took that foot off to fix that piece. We're just going to reattach the foot like so. And there we go. Now, I actually got that one to fit properly on the first go, because there's another connection at the top that around the drill that goes around GaoGaiGar's knee, and the instructions actually do not mention it at all, because you can actually see the large peg there. So then drop the leg in, close the panel, and then you fill in the back of the leg with the tracks. And then, now you notice one of my legs, specifically that right leg, isn't fitting quite right. Well, I guess it's our left. Well, it's our right. On the video it's the left leg, so that's not quite right, but it's good enough to suffice. So then we're going to move on. So then we're going to take GaoGaiGar's arms. You want to rotate them like this, with Leon's claws pointing upward, and basically you're bending the whole arm at the bicep. So then you're going to drop this panel down, take the arms, pull them out, and you're going to fold them as far back as you can with that panel. Alright, and we will come back to that. So now that we've got a big opening in the middle, we just want to stand him up, and we're going to bring in liner Gao. So for liner Gao, first off you need to take off that connector for stealth Gao, slide it in there, and it'll slide all the way through. And once you've got it fairly centered, then you're going to move the arms open enough so you can fold that panel back up. And that's going to lock liner Gao into position. Just like that. So with that done, now the arms fold completely flat against his back. And so here's me noticing the issue with his legs not fitting quite right. Now, this model does have a problem. Despite having big, good feet, he does not want to stand. So I've ended up using the treads as kind of a heel to tripod him. So we're going to cut till after I'm done futzing with the legs. Okay, so I'm making this seem way harder than it is, and this transformation isn't that difficult. Anyhow, so for Stealth Gao, we're going to take off the broken and protect arms. So we're going to move our in-progress GaoGaiGar out the way. So you're going to open these doors up, and in doing so, you're going to pull the lion's mane down so you have more room. Now it popped off, and in this case, I'd rather it pop off than snap and break. You're going to collapse that door on itself. And this takes some doing because the parts, again, they're very flexible, and that's a good thing because you don't want them to snap. But once you've got the doors open, you're going to pull GaoGaiGar's helmet out. And I actually have to correct something. I've been watching the anime, and they actually do animate that connector onto his head sometimes. So I have to take it back and admit I was wrong. So now that we've got him all open, then we're going to collapse the door. Just make sure it's open out the way and the main is out of the way. So they're actually going to fold outward. Now this is an interesting solution because on the Solar Chogokin, the doors actually collapse inward. So when in GaoGaiGar configuration, they actually fold inward, becoming the cavity for GaiGar's arms to sink into. Whereas this is taking the opposite approach and just getting them out the way. So once you've got it like this, now you're going to bring in your GaiGar. So this is obviously that whole opening, that cavity in the back is going to go around GaiGar's arms. And it just snugs up around them like so. So then you're going to take Liner Gao, pull that section away from the torso, and then Stealth Gao is going to fall off. So we're going to come back to that. Or I'm just going to go ahead and put it right back on. I guess points to me for being persistent. So then you're going to bring the lion's mane over, and it pegs right onto the side of Guy Leon's head. Now if you don't have it perfectly straight, you're going to end up with the problem I do, where one side is pegged all the way in and the other does not want to stay pegged in. So then, once you've got all that done, you go up inside of Liner Gao and you're going to pull out GaoGaiGar's bicep. And this is a lot more difficult than it seems. Now it also doesn't help that I have giant hands. Because unlike some people, I don't have tiny raccoon-like fingers. So we got one. That second one is just not wanting to cooperate, but we got it. And as you can see, the lion's mane has come unpegged. And that's kind of the biggest problem with this, is just there's so much going on that it's just got so many failure points. I mean, it is an awesome looking model, and like you said, I am a huge GaoGaiGar fan. So I'm happy to have it, but at the same time, I also am going to be real about it and say that it has problems, but most of them are just because GaoGaiGar is a very complicated mecha. So, and as you can see, I'm still trying to get the mane to stay. I'm trying to balance it, and it's not going well. Now, I do have to say, in subsequently playing this thing, messing around with it, found I've had an easier time because as I get more and more familiar with it, it gets easier and easier. So on his arms, you pull those two little square panels out, and then when you fold down that elbow piece, it pushes his fist out. Squeeze in the square pieces, make sure his arm's all the way out, and then that square hole that mounted it to Stealth Gao will just go onto GaoGaiGar's elbow. So there's his broken arm. Pull the cover off of the protect arm, undo the little panels. Now I flicked that one out because I pulled a little too hard. But every now and then we pull something a little too hard. Guys, just ask your wife. And now that the hand's out, put that panel back in. And then attach it to the forearm. And there's that cover from the hand again. That's the one that I tried to glue and it didn't take, so I hit it with even more glue afterwards. And now for the helmet. So what you're supposed to do is open the helmet all the way, take the face off the helmet, sandwich it around his head, and then put the face back in. This is not easy at all, and as you can see, I'm having trouble with the face just staying clipped into the helmet, so we're going to jump ahead because I just glued it on there. Now, I need to correct myself. I didn't glue the face on. I tightened the pegs on it. So, for gimmicks, if you pop off his broken arm, there is a connector so that you can mount the broken arm to a stand to simulate his broken magnum attack. Very cool, but that connector has another purpose when we get to Goldie Marg. So this is very posable, but just due to the unwieldy nature of him, a lot of it's useless unless you put him on a stand. So the dividing driver will just fit right over his protect hand, and we just lost the lion's mane. This one was actually my fault because I did not put the mane down. So really all you gotta do is just line up the pieces again, snap it back in, and then there's a piece that folds down for his arm. But here it is, dividing driver. It still has that recoil or reciprocating action, and it looks pretty good. Like I said, that metal actually makes it very striking. But the thing that I think makes this kit awesome is the protect shade effect. So you get this big effect part, and we're just going to move all my stuff out the way so we have a little bit of extra room. So for protect shade, you're going to fold his hand up and you want it to be in the full-on stop, in the stop gesture. So you want to make sure his thumb's out the way, and you've got this adapter that you're going to want to slide down over his fingers. And you want to make sure you're doing it in the correct direction. Again, I think this would have been much better on a static hand. Again, I'm team static hand all the way. So then you take your big effect part, and then plug this little cover to hold it all together, and so you've got GaoGaiGar using its protect shade. And that's awesome. It's actually really impressive, and we're going to ignore that the lion's mane fell off again. Because you really can't see it. So, very cool, very cool. So it just slides right off, and as you can see, I really want to glue that, but I'm not. This is a piece where it's in a high traffic area. I want it to fall off and not break. So we're going to jump to the next thing. So the last gimmick is the Hell in Heaven attack. So to make this easy, we're going to pop his entire arms off. So we're going to take him and pop his posable hands off and put those off to the side. So then we take the Hell in Heaven hands and we're just going to pop them onto the appropriate sides. You also want to kind of fold his elbow out a little bit. So then what you're going to do is you're going to fold down that middle section of lion's mane, bring his arms into the correct position, and just snap it right on. Because this is something even the soul of Chogokin had trouble doing. So once you've got his arms collapsed down, you're just going to connect his forearms back on. And there we go. Fix his shoulder pads a little bit, and then we come around back and we open those vents so he can propel himself forward. And there we go. Hell and Heaven. The only thing that's missing is a Sondercore. So this has been a long one. Thanks for watching. Check out my fantasy story, King of Mercenaries on Fiction Press, and Optimus Prime videos after this.